visiting. So while we let everyone join our live session, I want you guys to comment below where you're watching from. If you're watching from Canada, if you're watching from the US, if you're watching from across the sea, let me know where you're commenting from. We'll give you a shout out on this Pow Times live broadcast. I can see some comments coming in. I'm actually really far away from the computer right now, so I'm using my 2020 Corona Vision. Alrighty. Don't mind my flute. Patrick's in the corner right now. He's laughing at me. He's laughing at me. I can't keep a straight face. Oh shit. Oh, shit. Alrighty. So, Anse, Darrell, Brertton Jr., Nitsigasan, Niso, Niso Piaksap Tatapenan, Satellite Cree Nation Ochinia. So, my name is Darrell Brertton Jr. I'm from Satellite Cree Nation. I'm also 21 years old, and I'm here at the man, the myth, the legend's house, Patrick Mitsuing, showcasting and broadcasting a live Power Time session for you guys. And he just wanted me to play the flute for you guys, share some songs and some music and some sounds, as well as some stories as well. So I'm going to get right into it and share the story of the flute and how it came to be. This story, I received it from my mother and it was passed down to me because my mother was actually a flute player became before I became a flute player. And I'll get into that story after I tell the story of the flute. So, long time ago, like if you use your imaginations, long before the Muniaos came here, the Europeans came here, and it was just Mother Earth, just the land, just the teepees, just the First Nation indigenous people of this land. Long time ago, we actually had to go and hunt for our food. Nowadays, we just go down the grocery aisle and put some meat in our shopping cart, and then we call it a day. So, long time ago, we actually had to work for our food. And on top of that, there would be like groups. So like the men, they would have a role to play. The children, they would have a role to play. The elders would have a role to play. The mothers would have a role to play. The teenagers would have a role to play, like within our like TP communities, our TP villages, and our tribes. So with that being said, the men, the hunters, the warriors, they would go out and hunt and get food for our people, and it would be shared amongst the people. Nowadays, we all have our own little single homes, and we all have our own little single family, and we only look after our own little single family, only the roof over our head, and only the people that are under our roof. A long time ago, if you were within a community, like a neighborhood, I guess in today's language, in today's world, everyone was taken care of because everyone had a role to play and everyone contributed. So long time ago, there's a group of hunters, and they traveled further and further than they ever have before. And in the forest, in the distance, there was a forest, and it was a really windy day. And each time the wind would blow, they would hear this sound. Imagine being back in the day, you grew up and lived off the land. So you have a general idea of how the animals sound, the four-legged, the winged animals. You have a general idea. So you never heard this sound before. So you're very like shocked and curious, and the hunters obviously went into the forest to figure out what was making the sound. And the deeper they went into that forest, that sound would be right there following them. Then one of the hunters noticed this great big hollow tree and had a bunch of hollow branches. And on one of the branches, he noticed the holes. And normally I ask the audience, can you guess what animal left the holes? And since we're on a live and no one can shout it back to me, a woodpecker came along, drilled the holes into the branch, and that's how the woodpecker ate and survived. And then each time the wind would blow, it was creating that sound that the hunters were hearing. So what that hunter did was he reached into his medicine pouch and he grabbed some tobacco. And this is pure natural tobacco that grew off Mother Earth. It's not the tobacco today that's filled with harmful chemicals like nicotine that are bad for our body. And he actually spoke to the tree. He said, "Grandfather tree, I see you don't need your branch anymore. Do you mind if I take it home and show my people?" And he put the tobacco onto the branch and he broke it off, took off all the little dried leaves and twigs. And when I do this in front of an audience, there's normally like hands going up. Why would he do that with the tobacco? Or why would he talk to a tree? Trees don't talk. And it's one of the oldest teachings within our indigenous community. So you have to leave an offering to be thankful and grateful for all the gifts that are given, because you never know when something can be taken away from you. And so, for example, he offered tobacco so like another branch could grow, so more leaves could grow, so more oxygen could be produced. And then another thing too, he asked the tree's spirit for permission. So even though the tree isn't talking, but the tree is living, and the tree has a spirit. All living things have a spirit. So it's one of the oldest teachings that you either learned in kindergarten or at home. It's to never take without asking. So he asked the tree's spirit for permission before he took the branch. And then he also used tobacco as an offering to show God the creator that he's thankful for the gifts that are given. And just like anything in life, he wasn't very good at first, but the more he practiced and played, the better he became. And he could actually use the flute to express how he's feeling. So if he's having a bad day and he's feeling kind of sad and down, his song would sound sad just like he is. Or maybe he's having a good day and his song would sound a little bit more upbeat. So that is the story of how the flute came to be and what my mother passed down to me. They also call this elk medicine or love medicine because this is a way that we could like express ourselves, express our feelings. So nowadays we have social media and we can send text messages and DMs, and that's how I'll tell you how I feel about you. But a long time ago, when there was no technology like this, there would be you would go down to the river and you would wash your face. And when you go down to the river and wash your face, there would be someone waiting to play a song for you, waiting for you to come down and clean up and wash your face. And they'd be waiting down by the riverbank, just maybe a little bit further down than the main area. Then they would play you a song once you arrive. And then that's kind of how they would communicate, like and express themselves, like through this flute, this like elk medicine, love medicine. So another thing that I just want to touch on real quickly before I talk about how I became a flute player is the different tribes. So I'm Cree from Satellite Cree Nation here in Alberta. There's many different tribes, and in our like indigenous community, out of all the different tribes, I'm noticing that a lot of our stories we're us as indigenous people, we're oral storytellers. And with that being said, a lot of the different communities, they all have their own little nitpicky teaching. So for example, like the Cree teepee is different than the Blackfoot teepee. Or for example, the Cree medicine wheel is different than the Ojibwe medicine wheel. Like they use the color black, we don't use the color black in the Cree tribe. So I just wanted to mention that so I don't offend anybody if my story doesn't add up with your story. But at the end of the day, they're all kind of similar. So for example, like I also dance men's fancy bustle. And when I hear different people tell a story and how it originated and how it came to be, it's all kind of the same. Like people from Navajo Nation, they're telling their story. People from up here in Alberta, they're telling their story. And then people from Oklahoma telling the original story. And it's just like they're all kind of like they're different, saying they're different things, but the storyline is all matching up and it's all adding up and it's all making sense. So I just wanted to mention that. So hopefully I'm not offending anybody that's on the call today. I just wanted to have respect for everybody on the call on the Facebook Live. So I actually became a flute player back in 2015, and it was because my mother accidentally double booked herself. So she's supposed to be in two schools at once, and she didn't want to cancel on one of the schools, let the students down because they're really looking forward to her coming and playing the flute. And I remember 15 years old, I was 16 turning 17, and she actually presented me with one of her flutes, which I still have. And she's like, my son, I accidentally double booked myself. I need you to go and play the flute at the school. And throughout my whole life, I never played the flute, never ever. And even people would ask me because my mom's so amazing and good at playing the flute. They're like, "Wow, you must be good at playing the flute if your mother's amazing." And I'm like, I don't play the flute. I just dance. She does it. So then, anyways, here I am, 2015, 16 years old, finally getting like kicked out of the nest. Like, okay, my son, I need you to play the flute. You haven't played the flute all these years. You never tried. You never wanted to, but I need you to now. And I remember her telling her like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I don't want to do it. I don't know how to do it. And then one of her ways to get me to play the flute was she's like, if you don't go play the flute for me, I'm taking away your Xbox. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. I'll go play the flute for you. I don't want you to take away my video game. And then she taught me the basics. So I have like two different size flutes here, but unfortunately, I misplaced and lost my top piece right here, and it actually just like helps the airways to create the sound. So for example, like my little flute, I'm not sure if you can see, but it has like a little tiny thing on it, and that just helps like the waves. So like I'll play it, and then I'll move it. Can't hear nothing. So anyways, I lost my little thing for my bigger flute, and she taught me the basics. So she taught me to always keep the third hole from the top covered, whether it's your left or your right hand, keep it covered at all times, and then to go from the bottom to the top, and then from the top back down to the bottom. And on my little baby flute, you can actually see that there's not even a third hole. It's always covered no matter what. So they didn't even put a third hole on my flute. So I'll show you following her step, and then I'll show you not following her step. Now I'll go from the top. Just all goes out the window. And the same thing. I didn't go back down. I came from the bottom up. So she taught me that one basic thing. And then on top of that, she also taught me like different breath movements. So there's like a straight breath, and then there's like a wavy breath. And so here's a straight one. And then here's a wavy one. So I'm not sure if you could hear the difference or not. And it's just all just a change in the breath. And then from there, she taught me a few, like two different bird sounds. So there's this one. And then there's also this one. And when I use my bigger flute, that second one sounds like spot on with a loon, like on the lake, and the loon's making its call. And then from there, I basically just learned by doing. So she taught me the basics: keep the third hole covered from the bottom to the top, the two different bird sounds, and then from there I just learned, I guess you could say, different patterns. Like I don't even know like an A note or a D note or an F note or anything like that. Like I'm no like musician in that sense. Like I don't know how to read notes. I just know how to play, and that's how I learned, by doing. And then from there, there's also like another little story that I like to tell about the flutes. So it's unfortunate that I don't have my freaking cover to show you how this flute sounds, because each flute has its own different voice, and I like to use the flutes and classify them like for us as human beings. So these are all classified as flutes, just like we're all classified as humans. Somebody might be tall, somebody might be short, somebody might be good at playing sports, somebody might be good at cooking, and we're all different and we're all unique in our own way, and we all have our own voice. And like I just like share this like little kind of message as a reminder that just because you're not as good as the person beside you at, say, maybe that one thing, that one skill, does not mean that you're not unique in your own way and that you don't have your own talents and your own passion and your own skills that they might not be good at too. So don't get down on yourself, and you are unique in your own way, and that's why I like to bring both my flutes and share that message with everybody. So without further ado, broski, is there any like questions? Don't have any questions? No? Okay, I'm just gonna play then. Okay, I'm just gonna play. What do you think, broski? How's that? How's everything going? When did I start playing? I started playing back in 2015 when I was 16 years old. So I was 16 turning 17. My birthday's in December. So I'm currently 21 years old and I'm going to be turning 22 this December already. Just before we finish the live call, I just wanted to quickly mention, like real brief, I'm slowly learning the online space and how to market and how to learn this high income skill. And I would like to show other people the skill that I'm learning and how you can help implement it into your day-to-day life. Because I'm currently, I have a main source of income, but I also want another source of income to help me with my financial goals. So I want to be a real estate investor and I need a down payment for a house. So I don't have a saving problem, I have an income problem. So with that being said, I'm tapping into like another industry to like add to another source of income so I can help save faster. And if you're interested, if this sparks an interest in you, visit my website at www.darrellbrertton.com, www.darrellbrertton.com, darrellbrertton.com. So if that's something that interests you, I'm more than happy to share my knowledge and help you implement it in your day-to-day life as well, because I'm tapping into a higher energy and I'm realizing that I'm on this earth for others, to serve others, to put others first. So that's why I'm also on this live and playing the flute for you guys and taking time out of my day and just being in this energy, just holding the space with you guys. So thank you all for joining this Facebook live call on Powwow Times. And with that being said, I'm going to play one more song to close it off. Hi, hi. Thank you for joining me. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday evening and that you have a safe, fun weekend and spend time with your loved ones. And until next time, I'll see you guys around. Hi, hi. Exe.